Our lead this hour from Sweet Home Chicago. That is where the NFC North brouhaha took place. Early television window, and a game that should have been over before overtime was not. Some weird things happened at the end, but when it was all said and done, Sam Darnold, remember him? Yeah. He's the Minnesota quarterback. So Sam Darnold, he had 330 yards. 90 of those 330 yards came in overtime. That set up someone named Parker Romo. We don't know who that is, but apparently he's a kicker. Parker Romo hit a game-ending 29-yard field goal, and Minnesota outlasted Chicago 30-27 in a game played on Sunday after giving up somehow 11 points in the final 22 seconds of regulation. The onside kick, which is never supposed to work, worked out for the team from Chicago, and they still found a way to lose. Now, following the game, what do you think the conversation was about? What do you think? Of course, it were the better stories in the losing locker room. It was all about the embattled head coach, Matt Eberflus, the head coach in Chicago, for the third time this season. The Bears had lost the game on the final play of the game, the very final play. It's na-na-na-na, hey, goodbye. Losing yet another winnable game. That was the Viking team's not that great. They have a good record, but they're not that great. So let us discuss the question for the jury, and you're part of the jury. The question, does Coach Matt Eberflus deserve the grief, the absolute agony that he's getting for the Bears' latest overtime loss? So I've got dominoes, roof, and neon yellow sign. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make some wonderful corned beef hash. Delicious corned beef hash. Now, to lead off, to answer the question, does he deserve the grief? 1,000%. Not 10%, not 20%, not 30%, not 80%, not 90%, not 100%. How about 1,000%, right? We would have fired him years ago. I would have never brought him back. But weeks ago, we fired him on the TV show. Unfortunately, that power of television did not work. But the Bears regime, they talk the talk. And I'm all about it. Listen, I do talk radio. I love to talk. Talk. They were pumping their chest out and strutting around like peacocks. And they have been hibernating for a good chunk of the NFL regular season. And it's kind of like dominoes. It's like dominoes, right? You had offensive coordinator Shane Waldron gone, right? Waldron out. He got let go. And so now the next domino to fall is the head coach. You can't blame the offensive coordinator because he's gone. So even if Matt Eberflus is under contract for 2 more years and is owed $9 million as head coach of the Bears, you got to get rid of him. Chicago, under the Matt Eberflus / Ryan Poles administration, is 14-31. And you say, well, everything that happened before this year you throw out. Okay, well, what about this year? A 311 winning percentage for the team from Chicago, and the soundbite, which will be played the moment the Bears make the change here. The GM of the Chicago Bears, getting up there on the dais in the Windy City at Hallis Hall and proclaiming that the Bears were going to take back the North and never give it back. They're going to take back the North, never give it back. Since then, Chicago has played 14 games in the NFC North. They are 2-12 since that proclamation. Now, I didn't play in the NFL. I just do the overnight show. I don't think that's good. Now, furthermore, to Landover, Maryland we go, where the Commanders had a bad day at the office and then some, and still nearly pulled out a shocking, improbable comeback win against the Dallas football team. They fell painfully short because of their idiot kicker, 34-26. Now, they say, well, that's an 8-point game. That's not that close. You didn't watch the game. You were not watching the game because it was going to be a tie game. Shoulda, woulda, coulda been a tie game. And there was a key decision made by Dan Quinn, who stood there with his baseball cap on backwards and decided in the fourth quarter, after Washington had scored a touchdown, the wide receiver Terry McLaurin scored a late touchdown. There were 21 seconds to go in the game. You make the call. Washington is within one of a tie. An extra point ties the game. You likely go to overtime, or you decide to go for two and go for the win. Well, without even pausing for a split second, Dan Quinn sent out the extra point unit, the kicking unit, and what did Austin Siebert do? Yeah, he shanked it. Missed the extra point, and that was that. And then they tried the onside kick, which somehow the Cowboys returned for a touchdown. So that's how you ended up getting the 8-point spread in this game. And he said afterwards, Dan Quinn, that he never considered ever going for two. The extra point was no good. So did Commanders head coach Dan Quinn blow it by not going for two at the end of the game and trying for the win with Jaden Daniels? So the arrow on this one is pointing towards no. And I'd love to sit here. It'd be better talk radio to sit here and rip Dan Quinn. But I do not feel that you should have gone with it in that spot. I agree with Quinn on this one. And it's a case-by-case basis here. But he immediately lifted one finger. He wanted to go for one. That was the plan. He said he never considered going for two. But it just felt like the right move. Now, it didn't work out. It was a disaster. At the time, though, as I'm watching the game in real time, I kicked the extra point. Now, the roof caved in, and that was that. And it caved on top of Washington. But they were the better team. The fact that the Cowboys were in position is an indictment of Dan Quinn and Washington, favored by over double digits. The Washington football team, they're at home. They have the better team. They believe they had a somewhat reliable kicker, although he had missed a kick earlier. You play for overtime in your own stadium. And now that said, losing at home that way is vintage, old school, what they used to call the Redskins back in the day, right? It's also deplorable how bad Dallas is, that is how you ended up losing that game. Pathetic. Now, last thing. To Miami, we have some audio we're going to play. Tua Tagovailoa, 317 yards passing, and not one, not two, not three, but four touchdown passes. And the Dolphins feasted on the Patriots, as they often do in Miami, 34-15, the final, the better story in the losing locker room. And that is where people are dissecting the commentary of Gerard Mayo, fed up with his team's lack of execution on the field. Mayo has had enough. In fact, we have the audio. Let's go to the audio tape. Here's Gerard Mayo. Listen.
Look, it's always, look, once those guys cross the white lines, there's nothing I can do for them. There's nothing any coach can do for them once they cross the white line. It's my job to continue to prepare not only them, but our coaches to go out here and play better football. All
right, so it sounds rather generic from the bag of cliches, but let's play it one more time. Here's Gerard Mayo. Let's hear it again. Gerard Mayo here. Listen, go word by word here. Take a listen.
Look, it's always, look, once those guys cross the white lines, there's nothing I can do for them. There's nothing any coach can do for them once they cross the white line. It's my job to continue to prepare not only them, but our coaches to go out here and play better football.
It's just all about the white line. It's a damn white line there. So he said there's nothing, as you heard, you can do once they're out there. How does that one hit you? The commentary from Gerard Mayo. So it tells me that Mayo is fed up. Right? He's not coaching them to play this way, but he's allowing it to happen. Because what else is he going to do? He's run out of answers. And so now the Patriot coach has decided to highlight with a neon yellow sign, and get that highlighter out, your mother does not work here, clean up after yourself, which is a nice way of saying, ergo, stop being so damn messy. That Mayo is a former player but is not allowed to currently suit up, and all the mental self-inflicted wounds that are not caused by the opposition, pre-snap penalties, etc. The Patriots had 10 penalties that were accepted by the Dolphins. 10 penalties, 75 yards. There were also 3 other penalties, I believe, that were not accepted by the Miami Dolphins. Those were declined. So it's sloppy Joe football. Sloppy Gerard football, Gerard Mayo there, that brand of football. And what is Robert Kraft going to do? Everyone says, well, he's going to be back. Gerard May will be back. No matter what, he'll be back. However, if they keep playing like that the rest of the year, nothing guaranteed. Nothing guaranteed, though Robert Kraft has certainly put his neck out there about how much he respects Gerard Mayo and how great he's the next great coach for the Patriots and all that. Certainly doesn't look like it.